40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30. 29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11. 10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
All right, hey, welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And wow, we got a show for you tonight. I don't know what it's going to be, but I don't have a guest backstage. Out of 100, we were just talking backstage, out of 173 shows, I don't think we've ever had a guest just like not show up. So I don't know where this Adam Wren guy is. So I don't know. Maybe he'll pop up here in a minute. I don't know, maybe he won't. But anyway, we do have all three of our panelists on tonight. So we'll have, Lucy says, well, I'll cause some trouble. I'll make this thing go. And we do have some poll questions and some other comments. So I'm sure we'll figure out something. And we always are good for a couple of conspiracy theories at the end. So I'm going to go ahead. I want to do this. I'm going to go ahead, since we don't have the guest, Mark Small, he took his time. He's made another small talk here. So I'm going to play Mark small talk. And I think he's got some stuff to say about the media and all that. So this was a show about media and how it's covered and what's changed and all that. So here you go. Let's listen to Small Talk, and then the panel will be on the other side.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Small Talk. Adam Wren is John's guest on Mouthwash, and he presents us with an interesting development in our society. Few realized in the mid-90s that the development of the internet would pretty much spell doom for local newspapers and coverage of local news. Importantville is the media site that Mr. Wren started in 2018. He endeavors to cover politics on the state and local level. If I got that wrong, I'm sure he'll correct me. He follows up on sources. He interviews people you normally wouldn't hear interviews from. And that's all very important because we lost a lot of local coverage of the news. That takes money. The Indianapolis Star News in the mid-90s, it covered the municipal area here in Indiana. And they had the shoes on the ground, and that takes money for local news in the counties, on the street, sports, all that stuff gone. Now, few appreciated what that could do. And yet we have to know that information in order to function as people in a society, as citizens. Mr. Wren interviewed, for example, Micah Beckwith last fall and got Beckwith to talk about his conversation with God. It was in 2023. About his conversation with God on January 7th, 2021. He added new details I hadn't read before. It's really kind of interesting. The point is this, that we had misinformation in this country. Newspapers weren't always 100% reliable. There was yellow journalism in the 1800s, early 20th century, but they became more refined and provided us with good information upon which we could base decisions. COVID's an example of disinformation causing a lot of people to be killed. Donald Trump taking office in 2016 is an example of how disinformation can sway an election. They're trying to do that in 2024. We need to have local sources of information. We need more of them. But that doesn't necessarily mean better. We just have to make sure everybody double checks info. Mark Small Talk.
All right, yeah. I don't know who's gaslighting who on all this stuff, but it seems that is. So hey gang, you're all here. Lucy, you're feeling better. You look energized there. You got your light going. There's no plastic behind you. You're not gonna be like murdered during our show or anything like that. So we'll start with you, Lucy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing better than I deserve doing my sordid past, that's for sure. And I got a lot of stuff to say back to Mark Small today.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say that might be enough for the show. So 173 episodes, and we haven't had a guest stiff us, and I did everything the guy said to do. I got green M&Ms in the green room and all that stuff. So Tiffany, I see you got your popcorn. You were all ready for Adam, weren't you?
I'm ready. This is like the first time, and I think like probably 5 weeks I haven't been late or blowing in here under the wire. So
I know, but there's been a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we have I think Micah Beckwith had an event tonight, and I think some folks were at that. I saw some pictures and whatnot, but he was brought up in Mark's monologue there. Brad,
tonight with Julie McGuire.
Oh, you went to that event?
No, I had an event with Julie McGuire. Fisher's GP.
Okay, yeah. She's not. I like Julie McGuire. I've known her for 3 or so years, 4 maybe. I don't know. She's Perry Township treasurer just 3 years ago. Now she's shooting star. She's going great places. But yeah, I was hanging out with her husband at the St. Roch Mayfest last weekend, and of course she was out in Logansport, and he was there, drinking a beer with me. That's what we do. We drink. Us husbands just stay home, and our wives are the ones that win everything these days, and I know that makes you happy, Tiffany. When you see a man lose, you love it.
No, not at all. I am not a man hater.
I didn't say hate. I just said you chuckle. That is a whole different story there. So, Brad, what do you think about when the guys lose and the women win? I mean, is that,
Well, I mean, as long as women know that their lives start when they become wives and mothers, according to a kicker.
Yeah.
A kicker.
That poor guy.
I just want to make fun of people who because I think that guy's jersey became the number one selling jersey.
It did.
It's they bought a kicker's jersey. Are they going to cheer for him every time he comes out for an extra point? They're going to cheer for extra points.
Yeah,
it's
that's just like cheering for the bass player in a band. I mean, who does that?
Dude, I play bass, John.
Oh well, that explains a whole lot of stuff right there. So, well, hey, Janet loved the speech. She loved it, so she's apparently not afraid.
Isn't he like a Catholic guy at a Catholic school talking about Catholic kinds of stuff, and like the lefties were somehow shocked and offended?
Yeah,
I don't think he invited them.
Well, Bill Burr has a quote. It's didn't he think exactly what you thought? Why?
What's surprising?
Yeah, I mean,
what's surprising about it that he said it out loud?
I think that it was covered in the media, and yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe the context was left out, and a lot of people just tried to focus on those words in his speech.
I mean, it was sort of
I don't think enough people paid attention, but again, I do think he went over the edge on a lot of stuff. But again, I didn't go to the thing. I heard about it just going about my day. It wasn't like he was yelling it in my face.
Y'all didn't put up a special display at the library about kickers?
Yeah.
Well, if you have a book about NFL kickers, you please point the way, and I'll get it for the library because I don't know one yet.
Remember Jan Stinnerud? He was, I think.
What number would that be, Brad, in the Dewey Decimal or the 460?
796.
Woo!
Look at Brad.
Library
up on us here.
That's high.
Library up on us right there. Boom. There it is. It's just good. So, there's another thing that I think Judge Alito somehow got a flag hung upside down at his house, and for some reason that's a big deal too. Because
that means that means that you've been taken hostage.
Mayday.
Right. Yeah, it's in distress.
The enemy is here, and they have
I can make fun of elderly people. I got the white hair. I mean, sometimes we get confused and we just hang the thing up. I'll just put it up. It was early, and I didn't even know it was upside down. So I mean, I think
he put it up himself.
I don't know. I think they said his wife did, maybe. I don't know these. I'm just like you, Brad. I just saw this thing in passing. We got nothing better to talk about than a dude hanging up upside down flag. And then we got a man that says it's okay to be a mom.
Well, but I mean, with Alito, it's I don't know. They're Supreme Court justices, and the more that you look into what they're about, it gets shadier and shadier with like hanging out with billionaires and
Yeah,
clearing
well, I mean,
billionaires' cases.
think about it.
It's a tad bit like, oh, this is exactly what the founding fathers didn't want to have happen. Can we at least agree on that? Like, how?
Well, you can't get fired.
Did they think about the judicial system being taken over by billionaires, kind of?
Yeah, how would you like to have a job you can't get fired from? All the way to get out of it is if you die, pretty much. I mean, you know.
My mom.
And it's
I'm
like
living that right now.
So all right. So we did have a poll, and I was really impressed with. I do the previews for these shows on Sunday morning, and I did this preview about Adam Wren. I know that people are watching it, but I also talked about the people over politics, and we were at 978 in our group. And I'm thinking, oh, nobody ever pays attention to that. But I had a request to get to 1,000. I wanted to get to 1,000, and last time I looked, we were at 993. Tiffany, 993. So let me take a look. See here.
Yeah, are you waiting for me to like it or something? You called me out.
Did I? Yeah, I probably did.
Yeah, Tiffany.
I'll do that on occasion. Yeah, all you got to do is just join the group. I don't ask any dumb.
I'm quietly eating popcorn.
All you got to do is just join the thing. Hold on a second. Let me look at it here. And I did a poll on there.
Am I not part of it?
And I don't know. It's people over politics. You got to look it up. Look it up while you're going there. And we did a poll, and this was an interesting poll because I started thinking about the state delegates and precinct committeemen, and I noticed that we had a bunch of elected officials that were running for these positions. And I'm thinking, wait a second, aren't they already in the government? Do they want to, get their nose into this other stuff too? And apparently they do, because it looks like a lot of these people, they have name rec. Oh, we're only 5 short. We're at 995. I want to get to 1,000 by the end of this show. So if you're watching, then hey, go to the People Over Politics on Facebook and join the group. We'll get to 1,000. Oh, and by the way, I did the Magic 8 Ball, and it was saying, I did a thing on there about will the Pacers beat the Knicks, and it said no, they won't. But guess what? The Pacers beat the Knicks, so it's not the 8 Ball's fault. Okay, it's not. I asked the wrong question. I needed to say the Knicks are going to beat the Pacers. And then it said, no, it's undecidedly so. So we're going to give it another chance because the Pacers are going on right now. I'll give you an update on the score. But let's see what the game outcome is going to be tonight. Magic 8 Ball, will the Pacers win tonight? Don't count on it. Okay.
What's the score?
Oh, no, I'll look it up while we're talking here. But anyway, so while we have the People Over Politics, back to our subject, was, do you think elected officials should be able to run for state delegate and precinct committeeman? Tiffany, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Okay, you say yes. What do you say, Lucy?
I'm going to say no, because the system is corrupt, and the more positions the corrupt people hold, the more opportunity they have to commit fraud.
I knew I could count on you. Brad, what say you?
But what if they're an honorable person, Lucy? And
wait, they're politicians, right?
Yeah. What if they are so just totally honorable,
like Snow White, like I had birds. I had birds in my hand earlier today.
Exactly, like that, like
those little chickens you had before.
We can't just assume that they're all criminals, right?
It's like double dipping. It's all double.
Yeah, it is but that's the thing. What are the potential pitfalls of this? I don't know enough about
I think it's taking a spot from a regular voter. I think they already have representation. They're already in their elected office. Why do they need to meddle in our business at the local levels and the state delegate levels and all that? So Brad, what's your answer, Brad? I got Tiffany, yes.
And you cannot be a delegate. That's what you're saying?
Well, I just say if you're an elected official, you should yield. You should let somebody else,
Yeah.
But it's different levels of representation. When you're a precinct committeeman, you're doing different things than when you're a delegate versus being in your elected capacity.
How many times have you seen these elected officials go out and actually do their own door knocking? I mean, us peons, we have to do it, but you talk about.
I've never seen. Wait, John, are you saying that those commercials aren't real? like that I see with. Come on,
Brad. What's your answer, Brad?
Do the mic drawn.
Quit stalling here, Brad. What's your answer? Yes, no, or no opinion?
No, I think they should be able to, because at this
Okay,
point
we got two yeses from the.
I think the population's still not wanting to participate in.
Oh, au contraire. We had.
Well, no, but I
people.
feel like it's going more towards that. But I don't think that we were there.
No, only because Micah Beckwith got involved with doing this. That's the only reason that we had zero open contests for state delegate. Not one.
Did everybody pay?
No, but I mean, like, prior to this, right?
Yeah, prior to this, it was lame. So, okay, so you got two yeses, Brad and Tiffany, yes, Lucy, Brett, no, and I'm going to go with no. Unfortunately, we had 40 voters on the People Over Politics, and it was 80% no, 20% yes, and everybody had an opinion. So,
what did the Magic 8 Ball say?
Oh, let's see what the Magic 8 Ball says. Do you think that elected officials should be able to run and hold PC or state delegate office? Better not tell you now. Who made up these words in this 8 Ball? All right, let's see. One more time.
Too many letters.
My sources say no.
I don't believe you.
But the thing was wrong on the paper again. So, but it's actually on the stock market neophytes. The 8 Ball is better than I am at picking stocks.
Hey, Janet.
So what do we got? Let's put that up.
To you, Janet.
Oh, so Janet, yeah, she's Delaware County up there in the Muncie area. First time running and all that. So it's going to be a very interesting. That comes up on June 15th. We have Todd Rokita, who has no one running against him. And then we have Micah Beckwith and Julie McGuire, both fine people. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because there's a battle going on in there, Tiffany. So here's your next question, folks. Who do you think is going to win that LT position? Well, we'll start with Lucy this time. I mean, like, you don't care because it's not your monkey, not your circus, right?
Exactly. No, I'll just abstain.
Okay,
because
so
once again, it just goes to show you how your two parties rope the taxpayer into tax slavery in order to pay for your primaries and your elections. And we don't do that to you. Libertarians aren't stealing from you for our political gain.
I know it. You just taxation stuff.
Highlight is the delegates pay for the convention, so at least there's a little bit of relief there, Lucy.
Yeah, you get $150 back from each of those politicians they got. So what do you think? Who do you think is going to win, Tiffany?
Oh gosh, I think it's going to be really, really close.
It is.
They are definitely different people. They're both like very amazing, concerned Hoosiers, and I think that we'll know more when you understand like who the delegates are. I don't think Micah has indicated about like how many of his delegates got through. So I think it's going to be very interesting.
I can tell you about Marion County about a third, 45 out of the 120 or whatever. So about that many that are confirmed. And I think there's a pretty big gray area in that. Now that's Marion County. So we have a lot of, like I said, in mine. Well, Brad, you go ahead and you pick first, and then I want to go to another topic.
Oh, I think Micah's going to win.
Okay, and then you're going to be just depressed for 3 or 4 or 5 years.
No, because I think
close all the libraries.
I think Micah's going to win, but it's going to be overturned or something, or he's not going to become lieutenant. It's going to be something.
He'll be impeached before he's even picked.
Well, I think they're still going to go with Julie McGuire. Like, I think Braun's going to still pick her.
So,
I think he's going to say that he doesn't care, kind of. And I think he's still going to go with who he wants.
They got to hold the delegates. They got to hold it. They got to hold it down for that. So
I think there's a level of seriousness that that can get missed in this. I was told that Pastor Beckwith has been getting death threats. So I think that politics is great and it's wonderful and it's interesting, but I don't think it should ever progress to that part where people are getting death threats. So
yeah, And this is our own party too, because I'm pretty sure it's not a libertarian that's doing the death threatening. It's most likely probably not a Democrat doing the death threats. It's somebody within the party that's concerned about this. Although it could be one of your people, Brad. I don't know.
It could be. Micah makes a lot of people upset. People get upset by the things they hear Micah say, I guess is how.
It's sort of like the kicker speech. Oh, here's your update for the Pacers game. It's 64-64 at halftime.
So here's the problem, Brad. Okay, people get mad at the things that Micah says. Is it because he's saying them out loud? Is it because he thinks that? Or is it the way that it makes them feel? I mean, like,
a lot of it's like the arrogant ass tone that he says it in. That it's hard to, it feels like it's a bullying tactic where it's like, well, why do you even think this way? Why do you, you're clearly crazy. And it's like, it's the error of whatever I say, he's not really going to even listen to because he thinks what he thinks because God lets him think it. And that's fine. Ever. And it's like, you can think like that.
What's the line between competence and arrogance?
No, here's the problem. He's a straight up theocrat. He believes that he has the moral right, responsibility, and directive from God to tell the rest of us what to do. And that's the problem that I have with him. I grew up in a religious household. I grew up in a cult. I grew up in the Mormon cult. I understand how these patriarchies work. And he would put himself as number one patriarch and tell you all what to do with your bodies, your education. The whole libertarian mantra is basically don't start none, won't be none. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. And he would meddle in your everyday lives. And that's the problem that I have with Micah. And irrespective of the fact that I lean, if you ask me what my religion is, I would say Christianity. I'd probably have to put a couple of asterisks there because there's so many jerks that are doing that. But, I have the same problem with Micah as a theocrat that I would have with, a Muslim, or anybody. I don't want a theocrat charge.
Yeah. And I can see that. One of the things that I want to bring up, since Lucy was talking, you talk about taxation. We are having a tax rally on June 22nd at 11 a.m. on the south lawn of the State House, and we are going.
Tea party?
It's not Tea Party. This is Hoosier Summit. This is our little pack that we've made up of concerned Hoosiers. Anyone can join, libertarian, whoever. It's not we even take a guy like Brad. We take a guy like Brad in a Hoosier Summit. You could join the thing. And I got Mike Young. He's actually working on a property tax remedy right now. And we will be having him on our show on June 18th. I believe that's the Tuesday before. And he's going to unveil this tax thing. So he's going to try to get it done and out. Now, it can't be the final bill yet, but they are working on this thing. And then we're hoping to get governor candidate Mike Braun. We might be able to, I'm talking with his people about coming on. So we'll have two mics on there. And
let me know if you need me to make a call.
You call to Braun? Yeah. Well, everything would help. So if you see, but I've talked to their people twice. We're trying to get that nailed down, but that's going to be June 22nd, 11 a.m. Everyone's welcome. Maybe we'll get the Don Rainwater. He spoke at it last year. So this is actually our second go at it. So there'll be some more announcements. So,
John, can I mention one more thing too? Regarding Micah, like
Micah, really, we have moved on.
No, but like I want to say, like one-on-one, like he's fun to talk to. Like he does engage with you like as an individual. What sets him apart is like when he does his little car ride films.
Oh, on that, tell it. Hey, everybody's got their shtick. I mean, we have our shtick.
Nobody complains when Taylor Swift does it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we get Taylor Swift to come talk about taxes. Like she could. I mean, I'm sure she's paid some taxes. With when she makes $1 million, she got to pay all that tax.
It's not running for office though. Like it's.
Yeah, I know. But
I would like Taylor Swift to answer for the witchcraft and the satanic rituals that she puts in their concerts. I'd like to find out why she does that.
Over to you, Brad.
I'd like to hear more about this witchcraft. I became a Swiftie right now. What's going on?
Well,
Do
the
you,
sad
do
thing
you need to
is,
go get your pointy hat, Brad, and your cauldron?
Oh, I totally have a cauldron and a giant ass spoon. Just
that's just my regular cookware because I have to cook for so many people.
Yeah.
But I cut you, Lucy. I apologize. You were saying
If you have not seen pictures from her concerts, haven't you been to one of her concerts? I know you follow Fish around, right? But you
Yeah.
don't follow Taylor
you're
Swift.
talking
What are you trying to say? Brad's going to go to a Taylor Swift concert? Come
I
on.
think he's pulling our leg.
I thought you were
So
talking to me, Lucy. I was like, what?
no.
I don't spend my money on that shit.
I got like about 2 more shows to get tickets for the 10 shows this summer. But
So
no,
let me send
Taylor
people
Swift.
down some rabbit holes. First of all, this is a writer downer, the word cymatics, cymatics. And cymatics is how frequency is expressed. So if you go into YouTube and you put in cymatics, you'll probably find a bunch of videos where you find people that take a membrane, like a drum's, something stretched over a speaker, and then they'll put salt or sand on it, and then you play certain frequencies or notes,
Oh, yeah.
and they vibrate into certain patterns. And then when you go into, studies of not just ancient aliens, but ancient societies and Gnostic societies, you're going to find that those symbols are all over the world thousands of years ago. So our ancestors knew about this stuff. And what you need to know about that is that the frequencies that are in harmony with the human body add up to like the number 9, 6, and 3. So 432 hertz was the standard for tuning instruments prior to World War II. And I think it was actually somewhere around 1917, somewhere around there, where the standard tuning was changed to 440 hertz. So 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 9. 440 is not. It only adds up to 8. 4 plus 4 plus 0. And so that slight asynchronous frequency means that those songs, I believe, are actually harmful because they are disharmonious to the human body. So when you're listening to, music in 440 versus 432, I feel a difference in my body. There's a guy named Billy Carson, and he just released a video. I will see. Yes, Liquidity, you're right. You can actually go to sleep with 440 or 432, 528. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 8 is 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. So there's 3, 6,
Okay,
9.
now how do I do that? I mean, I got this phone. Can I do that on my phone?
You go to YouTube and you type in 432 hertz sleep music.
Or you can just say, Alexa, play 432 sleep music.
I listen to
I
the
don't know.
Bible
I don't know
verses.
about
I
Alexa.
listen to Bible verses, and it puts me right at ease. So I don't
So,
know
I'll
why.
see if I can find a link.
Lucy,
And
are
I'll
there
put it.
any songs that you know that play with these different frequencies to
Yes,
manipulate us?
there are artists who know what's going on who tune their instruments to 432
Like
instead of
who?
440. Billy Carson is one of them. He is a pretty cool dude. You should check him out. He's on the number 4 bidden knowledge .tv or .com or something like that. He will straight up take you back to ancient aliens, to the emerald tablets, to all kinds of esoteric knowledge that's been lost throughout the years. You want to talk about conspiracy theory, let's talk about how our ancestors 4,000 years ago probably had better technology than we did.
I think they had to pay attention more.
Well, their pineal glands were not calcified by fluoride, so they still could access source. Those of you that don't know about fluoride.
Did we go conspiracy early or what?
Brad, so
yeah, you got to go early.
Yeah,
so
once
for
that
those of you,
societies, that's when we all flourished.
So for those of you who don't know, your pineal gland is your third eye. It's also known as the eye of Horus. And your pineal gland manufactures DMT, and DMT is known as the God molecule. So if you have, I've never done
Where
this.
is this thing? Where is this thing? This gland?
It's directly in the center of your head, vertically and horizontally. So
it's like
inside your brain.
That's my problem. That's definitely my problem.
Yes.
I don't know what that.
Did you watch the Avengers when that one red guy he had the thingy like right there?
Oh, really? That was it.
No, but that makes sense. But yeah, so that's another rabbit hole to go down, is how your diet affects the ability or not or inability of your pineal gland to manufacture DMT, because that's how you commune with God. Yes, Tiffany.
So, at what point, Lucy, did higher powers recognize that that gland needed to be calcified? And when did our food inventory change to badly affect our brains?
Well, it's been something that has been human bodies have been manipulated by the ruling class for a number of years. I mean, thousands of years. Think about the eunuchs. Think about, the people who were, even Chinese women who were born and then they bound their feet. So there have always been times when one class of people suppressed another class of people. The way that it's expressing now in modern day has a lot to do with the industrial age, the discovery of oil, and the Rockefellers. So the Rockefellers took over medicine. Um, they now have a monopoly on medicine and medication. Those are petroleum oil-based products that most people are taking in the form of pharmaceuticals. And so a lot of the knowledge has simply not been passed on from, grandma to mom to daughter. So those of us that are sitting here now probably had great grandparents that knew how to walk out into the woods and, find, I don't know, lamb's quarter, and they could eat lamb's quarter, and they could go find plantain, and when they got a bee sting, you'd chew up the plantain and you'd stick it on the bee sting, and it would go away, and they knew that jewelweed was the antidote for poison ivy. But see, all of this knowledge has been lost because it is not profitable for you to have this knowledge. So roundabout, John Taylor Gatto, we should definitely get him on the show. He wrote Weapons of Mass Instruction, and so he was like, I don't know, 5-time National Teacher of the Year or something like that. I mean, he has amazing awards, but he explains how the school system was co-opted and created, not even co-opted, it was created from the origin of it to manufacture workers, to manufacture people who don't think for themselves, who can't think outside what they've been told. When and Dewey, of course, Dewey was a real proponent of forced public indoctrination and forced public education.
We do.
Yeah, John Dewey, the inventor of the Dewey Decimal System. In fact, you may not know this, but in Massachusetts, back in the 1800s, when the public school system was started there, if you didn't send your kids to public school, they came and got you and arrested you. So they
Maybe we need that today.
yeah, they were intent on getting kids into the Prussian system. So what does the school system teach us? Well, we have to get there at a certain time. We have to only study and give the correct answers. And I don't know about you guys, but there are plenty of times when my teachers were wrong. And I went ahead and put down the actual correct answer on the sheet of paper, and the teacher would grade me wrong. But I'm just kind of a rebel jerk like that. If you want to,
how long have you been that person though?
my entire life. That's why I'm not a Mormon anymore.
No. Like in first grade, were you like,
oh yeah.
Hold on. Stop the presses.
Oh, yeah.
Stop the presses.
Lucy's our guest.
We got Adam Wren. We got Adam Wren in the back.
Yay!
Yeah. So apparently I screwed it up. So I don't know how to do a calendar invite or whatever. I don't have Outlook or any of these things. I'm like still.
So a man is admitting he is wrong. Write this down.
Well,
John and I are progressive men. Like
Tiffany's always busting my chops on here about how I'm screwing stuff up. So hey, we got
a haircut. Look at you, Brad.
Yeah,
thank you.
We've had 173 shows with our guests being on every time. So let's go ahead and bring Adam on. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Adam, how are you doing? Let me see. I want to make this. There we go. That's a little bigger. Sorry about the confusion. I don't know how to do a calendar invite, so somebody can walk me through that.
That's all right. No problem.
Thank you for showing up, Adam. We've been really wanting to pepper you with questions and find out what's really going on in the world. You'd know.
Lucy's been telling us about pituitary glands and everything else, so it's all
pineal glands. Pineal glands.
I was really paying attention to that. So, Adam, it's as you're mostly a writer, but I think you have a podcast and everything. So, tell us a little bit about where our people can find your stuff. I know Politico, Indianapolis Monthly. I did a little teaser of what we have in common with Indianapolis Monthly. We'll get into that, but go ahead and tell our folks a little bit about what you do and how you do it.
Yeah, well, I'm a national politics correspondent at Politico. You can find my byline at politico.com and Politico magazine. I'm a former contributing editor at Indianapolis Monthly magazine, where I covered politics and crime, business, sports, pretty much everything. And the founder of ImportantVille.com, the Indiana politics newsletter.
Wow, that's right. And did you have a podcast in there too? I think that I saw.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
There may be another Adam Ram with a podcast. I am a regular contributor to Fox 59's In Focus, which you can watch on Sundays on Fox 59 and CBS at 8:30 and 9:30.
Awesome. And well, we appreciate you coming on. I'm like, I know I asked you a couple times with yeah, and then getting together and doing this. But we appreciate that. We wanted to talk about the media and how much it's changed. And, I think it's sort of unusual to get a writer to come on the podcast and thing. I think sometimes writers just want to stay back there. And I think they call them ghost writers for a reason, right, Tiffany? It's just,
Hey, John, I think there might be a little bit of feedback and we might need to mute ourselves if we're not talking. And then also somebody has requested that we replay Mark Small so that Adam can see it.
Okay, yeah, I think it might be Adam's. I try to figure out, Adam, do you have, you got some feedback going? Yeah, it is Adam's. I don't know if you have, well, now it's good. So we'll see. All right, hey, Adam, we're going to go ahead and play Mark Small here because he talks about a few items here and all that. So let's see that again. Oh, that's not it.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Small Talk. Adam Wren is John's guest on Mouthwash, and he presents us with an interesting development in our society. Few realized in the mid-90s that the development of the internet would pretty much spell doom for local newspapers and coverage of local news. Importantville is the media site that Mr. Wren started in 2018. He endeavors to cover politics on the state and local level. If I got that wrong, I'm sure he'll correct me. He follows up on sources. He interviews people you normally wouldn't hear interviews from. And that's all very important because we lost a lot of local coverage of the news. That takes money. The Indianapolis Star News in the mid-90s, they covered the municipal area here in Indiana, and they had the shoes on the ground, and that takes money for local news in the counties, on the street, sports, all that stuff gone. Now, few appreciated what that could do. And yet we have to know that information in order to function as people in a society, as citizens. Mr. Wren interviewed, for example, Micah Beckwith last fall and got Beckwith to talk about his conversation with God. I'm sorry, yeah, it was in 2023. About his conversation with God on January 7th, 2021. He added new details I hadn't read before. It's really kind of interesting. The point is this, that we had misinformation in this country. Newspapers weren't always 100% reliable. There was yellow journalism in the 1800s, early 20th century, but they became more refined and provided us with good information upon which we could base decisions. COVID's an example of disinformation causing a lot of people to be killed. Donald Trump taking office in 2016 is an example of how disinformation can sway an election. They're trying to do that in 2024. We need to have local sources of information. We need more of them. But that doesn't necessarily mean better. We just have to make sure everybody double checks info. Mark Small Talk.
All right. So there you go. So we never really did cover that. Lucy, you wanted to talk about that too, didn't you? About Mark Small's commentary there. So, well, let's let our guest weigh in first about how maybe the media has changed and how much misinformation really is there out there.
Yeah, I think that we've seen for decades a decline in local reporting, particularly here in the Indianapolis area. The Indianapolis Star shed a lot of reporters. This used to be a 2-newspaper town. There are very few 2-newspaper towns left in America. And, I think that we're actually seeing a bit of an upswing. When I started in Portonville in 2018, there weren't a lot of competitive newsletters in the Indianapolis area covering Indiana as a region, particularly covering politics and government. At the time that I started it, Indiana had no reporter in Washington, D.C., covering the congressional delegation from our state. For a long time, the Indianapolis Star had a USA Today network reporter acting as the congressional bureau reporter, but no one was really covering our congressional delegation. And, fewer people were covering City Hall in Indianapolis, fewer people were covering the State House. And so at the time, Importantville really filled a gap. And thankfully, over the last few years, we've seen the rise of other outlets like the State House Bureau. We've seen State Affairs. We've seen Axios Indianapolis. The Indianapolis Star is slowly but surely rebuilding their politics and government team, hiring a number of reporters to build out their staff after years of decline. And so I do think there's cause for optimism. We're seeing some nonprofit outlets arrive on the scene, such as Mere Indy, which mostly has an Indianapolis focus. But all of this repertorial firepower is important, and really is here to, I think, serve the average citizen looking for engagement. On the demand side of things, I do think that there's a decline in demand, even though consumers may not know how much they'll miss political reporting in particular when it's gone. But I think people are overwhelmed. I think since 2016, people have grown to have a bit of fatigue about politics. I talk with people every week, if not every day, who tell me that, who say that they're sort of tuning out of political news because it's too divisive, because they're taking a mental health break. And so I certainly think that there's a tension there between the need for news, the need for analytical reporting, fair, nonpartisan reporting, and what people actually want at any given moment. There's always going to be an engaged citizenry, a certain group of the population who wants to read every breaking moment in the course of a campaign. We just got through a very expensive gubernatorial primary, the most expensive one ever. $98 million splashed across the state of Indiana in a number of competitive congressional primaries. And, there are people who are literally exhausted right now with political news. So it's certainly a tension between providing people their fruits and veggies when it comes to a diet that is balanced in terms of information intake, and the sweets, the snacks, the needless carbs and fat calories that people get in their information diet. And so that's going to be forever a challenge in an age of dwindling attention spans and multiple opportunities for infotainment and entertainment, whether it's Netflix or Amazon Prime or any number of streaming outlets. So the news is increasingly having to find ways to justify itself to the average consumer.
Yeah. So, and I think that was probably, in the primaries, it was just the turnout was just terrible. I mean, do you think that attributes to this? People are just tired of it. And I know when we're out trying to get people involved that haven't been involved, they're sick and tired of what's going on, and they want to know how to get involved. And so we've, initiated the precinct committeemen at lower levels. State delegates, a perfect example. We have a race with Julie McGuire and Micah Beckwith that's gotten the state delegates all fired up, and a lot of people running. Do you think that attributes to the fatigue, that we're just not really, people just want something different?
Yeah, I was pretty struck by something Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch said during the final weeks of the campaign, as she was campaigning to be Indiana's next governor. She told reporters that, as she's gone around the state, she's been disappointed by how few people were interested in the primary, in the future of who would govern Indiana. And I think that touches on what we've already mentioned in terms of declining interest in political news at a divisive time. But I also think it shows that there's a certain segment of Hoosiers who have sort of concluded that this is a permanently Republican state. It'll be 20 years this November since Democrats have elected a Democratic Indiana governor. And I think on both the Republican and the Democratic side here in Indiana, there's just a sense that the person who's going to win is going to win, and there's not much need for the involvement of regular folks, and they think that the government is going to continue apace. Now, we have seen since 2020 an increased interest, I think, in libertarian candidates, third-party candidates, people like Donald Rainwater, who took a significant percentage of the vote in 2020, not as high as some people thought, and certainly not enough to change the outcome of the election, with Woody Myers, a Democrat, failing to hit 40%. And so I do think that there is always kind of an appetite for an independent-minded candidate. I think Micah Beckwith is tapping into that with his lieutenant governor run. And I think he's giving a value proposition to Republican delegates at the convention, saying, look, if you were upset with Governor Eric Holcomb and the way that he handled the pandemic, or any number of other issues, particularly social issues, while as governor, you're going to have someone who's a checkmate and someone who is closer to the people than Governor Eric Holcomb was, or any number of establishment politicians in Indiana will be. And so I think there is an appetite for that, particularly after COVID in 2020, whether that's well-informed or misinformed. Indiana constitutionally has a relatively weak governor. And so, even if there is a lieutenant governor checking that person, there's the legislature in Indiana, which Republicans enjoy a super majority in right now. They're always going to have the upper hand in many different ways on the governor. And we're seeing the office of the Attorney General have a particular amount of leverage with whether it was Curtis Hill or current Attorney General Todd Rokita. They have a lot of leverage as well in this process, and there's some discussion of whether the Indiana General Assembly is going to ultimately make that position an appointed position, because you have a conflicted interest at times between the interests of the governor and that of the Attorney General. All are accountable to Indiana voters, but that's been a real conflict source over the last 8 years. And so that's something that could, happen next session as well. It's a short session. So lawmakers are, unlikely to entertain a wide variety of bills, mostly technical corrections. Typically, a lot of things get punted to an interim study committee, but that's something I can see them talking about, particularly given the tension between a Todd Rokita and an Eric Holcomb, for example.
Yeah, and we do have a budget year coming up. So Lucy, the libertarians were invoked, and you've been very, very quiet up there listening, and it's very interesting to hear these thoughts about the politic, and I think it's very spot on with what's going on. So Lucy, do you have a question?
Well, I, of course, I have a question, but first I have a lecture.
I know.
But I did want to say, Adam, that I checked out Importantville. I'm a Substack subscriber to a couple of different folks. I went ahead and subscribed to yours. I think that people, if they don't know about Substack already, they should go there. They should check you out, and they should check out other writers, of course, too. But Substack is a really underrated website, and it's a way that we can support people that are doing the work directly. So I appreciate that you've got that there. I've skimmed a couple articles and they're awesome. Mine boils down to, since I'm the libertarian, we always have a problem with getting actual real facts that are not colored by, red or blue paint out into the world. How do you struggle with that as a writer? How do you get those first party sources as a journalist? I mean, isn't that exceptionally difficult to write without being swayed by one party or the other?
I don't find it particularly difficult. I think that every reporter brings biases and predilections and predeterminations to the job, but really reporting it's a method, and a method can't be tainted when it's implicated and exercised the same way each time. And so, when you're reporting a story, if you name someone in a story, it's best practice to reach out to that person and to ask them to comment, to provide information either off the record, on deep background, on background, or on the record preferably. And that helps you shape your story. So just in the same way, a scientist would use the scientific method to reach an outcome, a journalist uses a journalistic method, and that includes, talking to any stakeholder involved in a story. It includes, observation. It includes adding context to a story. And those are all sort of the steps that a responsible journalist applies. Now, on the other end of the token, there is no credential that a journalist has in American society. We are not like doctors or lawyers who have to pass a common exam to practice our trade. That's not been the American tradition of a free press of American journalism. For me personally, I studied journalism at the master's degree level at Northwestern University at the Medill School of Journalism, and that was after, apprenticing and internships in Washington, D.C., and here in Indiana, writing for the Marion Chronicle Tribune, writing for the Noblesville Daily Times, working for a small circulation newspaper in small town Ohio as well. And so, there is it's more like plumbing, for example, than it is something like being a doctor or lawyer practicing medicine. It's a trade in many ways, and it used to be a very blue collar trade. And in recent decades, that's changed, unfortunately, with many of our nation's most powerful newsrooms being populated by Ivy League grads. And so, I am a first generation college student, and the son of an auto worker and a secretary, and sort of bring that point of view into my journalism.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, and I did put a teaser out there about what we had in common with Indianapolis Monthly Magazine. I actually, in 2002, I'm a mason contractor. We bricked the Indianapolis Dream Home, and it was the one that Larry Bird bought. So, and to give you an update on the Celtics Pacers game, Celtics 92, Pacers 81, 2 minutes 38 in the third. So they got to get busy. They got to get going here. So anyway, that's my thing. And actually, we got a masonry design degree or award from the masonry people or whatever. And I didn't have nothing to do with the design. All we did was lay the bricks, but I took credit for it, as I do usually. So that is the Indianapolis Monthly Magazine Dream Home situation thing. And then I try to find some of your articles up there, and I could find you did something on I don't know. Give me what do you do with the Indianapolis Monthly is my question, I guess.
Yeah, I wrote for more than 10 years as a long form journalist at Indianapolis Monthly, where I was a contributing editor. They have been bought, and the staff has sort of been whittled down. I was never on staff there, but worked as a contributing editor, and covered politics, crime, sports, business, sort of general interest stuff from 2010 to roughly 2022 when I joined Business Insider, where I was a national politics features correspondent, and then from there was sort of poached by Politico, where I've been doing the same kind of work since 2022. So just came up on my second year anniversary. Cover national politics, not just Indiana politics, and that's sort of just a brief sketch of where I've been and what my connection has been to the magazine.
Yeah, and I, getting the following and the people, the readership and viewership and all that. We got started a while ago. Like I said, this is our 173rd show, and we do it once a week. And it's taken a while for us to build up an audience. One of the things, let's get to some local stuff here. What about this soccer deal that we have going on? What kind of fight? What do you know anything more about that than the average bear? I mean, I compare this to Bernie Ecclestone and Tony George when they screwed up the Formula One back a few years ago about, hey, maybe we just got too big of egos in the room. What's up? So can you give us a little inside scoop on that, or maybe even your opinion on this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I think not to toot my own horn, but I'm sort of uniquely qualified to speak into this, and have broken some news on this as well. I've covered the Indy 11 soccer excursion into this market since 2012 and 2013 when they were founded. Was at the opening day ceremony, was at the first game, and have covered and profiled Ursal Ozdemir, the owner of the Indy 11, who has tried unsuccessfully in the past to expand to Major League Soccer. And I've also covered the other side of this equation right now in Joe Hogsett, covering his first 2 terms as mayor, profiling him, sitting down with him, and a number of people around him as well. This is sort of his Hudnut moment, so to speak, where he is trying to, like former Mayor Bill Hudnut, bring a professional sports franchise to the city. And there are a lot of dominoes lining up right now behind him. At first, it seemed like he was a bit out over his skis, but it's clear that the groundwork for this has been in place for some time, dating well back before what seemed like his surprise announcement last month, where he mentioned that the MLS meeting had happened with Don Garber, the commissioner of Major League Soccer in New York, and that he had flown there to discuss this with him. The truth is, Ursal Ozdemir has known for many months that this was a possibility, that that the city could walk away from its deal with Indy 11 for 11 Park. And he was, in the last few months, increasingly and frenetically working to avert what for him could be certain disaster. Since this announcement, a number of issues has come up with the Diamond Chain site, where Indy 11 had planned to build their stadium, including the fact that a number of human bodies are interned on that site and need to be relocated. There's sort of a dark joke that this stadium project would be haunted if it were to come to fruition. And so Ursal's in a very difficult place, despite pouring tens of millions of his own money into not only the Diamond Chain site, but the franchise over a decade. And I've talked with him previously for a profile for Indianapolis Monthly. And, there were times in the history of the Indy 11 where it wasn't clear if the 11 franchise was going to go forward. They had a league fall apart around them, collapse around them, and they were looking at moving towards a different league, and he was 50-50 at times whether he was going to carry the 11 forward. Now, what's happening now is that he is negotiating privately with this developer, this soccer executive who has worldwide experience, someone who brought an MLS franchise to Charlotte, North Carolina. He's working with him, trying to negotiate and to find a pathway out of this, an off-ramp out of this, and recoup some of the money to be made whole for the investment that he is, to his credit, heroically made in bringing professional soccer to Indianapolis. Before Indy 11 arrived, Indiana was home to something like 7 or 8 different professional sports soccer franchises that all folded. And so Indiana has not been kind to professional soccer, despite having Indiana University, men's college soccer team here, a perennial power player in the NCAA. There's a strong tradition of soccer in Indiana, but on the pro level, it just hasn't had the fan base to support it. We're a small market relative to other cities like New York or even Columbus, Ohio, that's had a Major League Soccer team since 1996. And so, right now, everybody, including the Indianapolis City County Council, is working on a deadline. They have until this summer when the legislation that sort of undergirds a professional sports district area expires. And so sort of all parties are involved here. And it's hard to say where all this ends up, but it's looking increasingly grim for Indy 11 and increasingly positive for Major League Soccer. Now, it's possible that Major League Soccer franchise, if successful, could adopt the crest and the colors of Indy 11 and the name. But really, we are not going to have, even under the most optimistic timelines, a professional soccer franchise that's a member of Major League Soccer for probably 4 or 5 years from
5
now.
years, yeah.
It's-
I did talk to somebody at the council, and it's in committee, and it right now it's there. Let's put it this way: the mayor's trying to find some votes, so they're a little bit split. But you know how that goes. We have 19 Democrats and 6 Republicans. So when the mayor's talking to the Republicans, you know that he needs some votes. So because they usually could just bring anything on through there. But I guess my question is, why isn't the mayor working with Ursel to get all this done? I mean, to me, it seems like 2 people are working against each other.
Yeah, I mean, this is someone who in Ursal who has a lot of connections both at the city level and at the state level. He is a significant political mega donor, you could call him. And he's worked with the city on a number of other projects before. He has any number of parking garages and mixed use developments in the Indianapolis metropolitan area and outside it in places like Carmel where he lives. And so, you know, Joe Hogshead has called Ursal a friend at various times over the last few weeks in public remarks. And Ursal has been very sort of congenial to the mayor. But, you know, this soccer deal represents a lot of odd bedfellows. You know, the mayor's former deputy chief mayor, former chief of staff, Thomas Cook, is working as essentially a lawyer for Ursal on this deal. And so he's in some ways at odds with the mayor. And then on the other side, you have Kyle Hupfer, the former Republican Party chairman and former campaign chairman for Brad Chambers, who is working for Ursal as well. And so, you know, this is not a traditional party line issue. You've got a lot of weird sort of alliances entangled here, a lot of money tied up. And so it's hard to see where all this goes.
So one more question. I hate to hog the questions here but so you know, I remember when Jim Hurst of Hurst Beans, when the stadium came in, and my father-in-law had a building right next to his, and he was one of the first ones to sell his building. But Jim Hurst held out and made it look like the city was stealing his land, and he got the public all in an uproar, and he ended up getting a heck of a deal out of them. He ended up getting a new building and ended up keeping the bean place. So do you think that Ursul's really leveraging the public? Because I think there's some Indy 11 fans that just feel like this is wrong, that the mayor's running over this poor guy. Do you think he's missing an opportunity to maybe use the leverage of the public?
No, I think Ursal has very much leveraged his fan base. That's really sort of the last leverage he has here. You know, the Major League Soccer has not approved previous expansion requests by Ursal. And so really the fan base and the crest and the colors and sort of the sweat equity and the social equity is really all he has left here in this deal. He's really scraping and clawing here for his life, you know, as a soccer owner in this town. And so, you know, that's something that we're going to have to watch to see how it plays out. So I think he's leveraging that well, as best as he can.
Yeah. I have his number. I reached out to him, but of course we're the Mouthwash show, so we're not going to be as we're going to have a lot of pull. But we have a lot of folks that you know, I say our audience is not a big quantity, but we have a lot of quality people that watch our show regularly. And you know, we've had some interesting times on this show with people saying things that they later regretted. But
yeah, I've covered. That's how I found out about Mouthwash talk show, by covering the mayoral race in Indianapolis last year and covering Jefferson Shreve's comments at the time. And so that
was. If he just would have ran his campaign like he did his car interview with us, I think people would have found him a lot more likable and accessible and all that. But hey,
yeah, well, I'm sorry I couldn't be on the show tonight doing the interview from my car like Jefferson.
Well, you seem very likable anyway, so I think you're okay, and you're not running for office, which is probably good. Would you ever have any aspirations to run for anything after covering it, or is it like watching sausage being made? You say, I want no part of it.
Yeah, absolutely not. I have no interest in running. I'm concerned that American politics at every level of government is leading us to a place where quality people may be dissuaded from running for office. And so, anybody who puts their name out there, for the most part, I think deserves a certain modicum of appreciation. Now, what happens after the moment that they launch their campaign is subject to analysis and further reporting. But I do think it takes courage for anybody to run for public office in 2024, whether it's for city, county council, or president of the United States, which is a race that I'm covering right now pretty closely at Politico.
Yeah, and so you're covering the presidential and what else? And I know that I'd seen you had covered Pete Buttigieg, and you traveled around with him and that.
Yeah. So I covered, given my ties to Indiana, I covered Pete Buttigieg pretty closely from 2018 through now, his time at DOT. And, in 2024 with former governor and former Vice President Mike Pence having a brief 6-month presidential campaign, have focused pretty much on covering the Republican race for president over the last couple of years. But yeah, I'm speaking of that, I am actually on deadline for Politico right now, so I probably have time for maybe 3 more questions.
All right, well, I hate to be starstruck here, but I'm a little starstruck. I just have so many questions. But Tiffany's just up there eating popcorn and paying attention, and she is an elected official. She's on the Fisher Town Council, so she's catching fire up there in Fisher. So Tiffany, what do you got?
Not catching as much fire as I was when I was on the library board. But quick question, Adam. In retrospect, are there any stories or information that you regret doing?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I mean, as a journalist, asking a journalist whether or not they regret, doing a story, or whether what their favorite story was, is sort of like asking, someone if they regret their last breath or what their favorite breath that they ever took was. I mean, everyone is sort of essential to the next one. And so that's sort of my outlook on those. I mean, each story leads to another story. As long as you're writing stories, that's sort of the best place to be in. More stories create more sources, and more sources create more stories. And so it's important to be filing at a regular clip.
That's why we like to cross-pollinate. I call it promote each other. Tiffany, at least he didn't say mouthwash was the regret. So that we got that going for us. So Brad, you've patiently waited up there, and I'm certain you have some sort of question just go ahead.
I do. All right. So, hey, Adam, thank you for that. Are any of President Trump's court cases politically motivated in your findings?
My job, sort of as a reporter, is to cover the proceedings from sort of an analytical perspective, and to ask questions about how the American public and how the bases of each party are perceiving the cases. So, for instance, I've been at the Supreme Court, within the last few weeks, as the Supreme Court had oral arguments over whether or not President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, had any expectation of immunity in the January 6th case. And I've also been in Manhattan for former President Donald Trump's Manhattan hush money trial. And so I've had a chance to cover both of those, and will continue to be writing about both of those cases, I expect, for a certain time to come. As I look at polling as a journalist, as I talk with members of both parties, there is sort of the perception that this particular case in Manhattan is, of all of the cases that he faces, the one that seems to have sort of the most political motivation behind it. We know that Alvin Bragg, the prosecuting attorney in this case, ran in part saying that he would prosecute, former President Donald Trump. He is using sort of a novel legal theory in this case and testing it out with jurors. And I think, from a politics perspective, former President Donald Trump has been very effective, along with his allies, even before the trial began, at being disciplined in their messaging, framing this trial as being politically motivated. And so when you look at the polling, even though in some respects it's all over the board, you don't see in aggregate a significant shift, even 5-6 weeks into this case, among partisans. You don't see a lot of independents changing their mind about President Trump based on this case. And so some partisans could make the argument, to your point, that this is politically motivated, and we're not seeing it shake out one way or the other in the polls. Now, next week we expect to hear closing arguments. We expect a verdict soon, and whether or not a guilty verdict and having a former president, a presidential candidate, recognized as a convicted felon, whatever your thoughts about the merits of the case, we don't know yet how that's going to play out in the general election among voters. It's hard to say. This is unknown territory. We've never had a trial like this. We've never had a former president like this. And so it's unclear whether having the label of being a former convicted felon, if that's how the jury decides, will sway or not sway voters. People have known about these specific charges, about the specific payment, about the specific case for years. And so, I think the question that I'm exploring is, in my reporting, is this, case in particular pretty much factored in, priced in to how the political markets see Donald Trump?
My biggest question is, since she didn't stay hushed, should she have to give the money back? So, because now it's like, what good was doing a hush thing when there was no hushing? So I thought that's what they were paying for, the hushing of her. So it didn't seem like it worked out very well.
Well, Adam, one more follow up. Is there like a potential for violence, I guess, like in your, like whether the verdict is guilty or not guilty? Like, I don't know that either side would. It just seems like a powder keg kind of.
Yeah. Didn't a guy already light himself on fire too? So
yeah. I was at the trial in Manhattan on the first day, and honestly, one of the big storylines of this trial has been how little it has been a powder keg, particularly outside of the Manhattan court. I expected to go into an army of counter protesters and protesters on the first day of the trial. And that was not the case at all. There was very few people there. I talked to a number of them. It was very peaceable, very subdued, actually, sort of shocking. And so I think that gets to the larger point, what I was speaking about earlier, where there's sort of just a disconnection from cases like this. And so, I don't think, in the age of January 6th, you always have to be on the lookout for potential political violence. I think it's sad to say, but I think that's fair. But I just don't see that in this particular case at this particular time. Now, anything could happen. We'll be watching to see how any verdict is received. But that just hasn't been a factor in this case, except for the unfortunate case of the man who burned himself alive. And I would say that in that case, his protest had nothing to do with the case of Donald Trump. It was about other sort of political aims.
Okay. The timing, it was where it was and when it was, I guess, made it.
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of done. It was sort of done according to his manifesto to get maximum media attention, but really had nothing to do with the merits of the case one way or the other, and nothing to do with Donald Trump. And I think that's one of the reasons why it didn't receive a lot of attention because it wasn't connected.
Yeah, and you know, he's already had the devil went down to Georgia case and other stuff. So, well, hey, Adam, I truly appreciate you coming on our little show here, and we're honored and pleased that you actually watched a few of the things, and hopefully we can get some more stuff for you to report on. And you're always welcome to come back, and we'll put in if you put in your connections there in the chat, then people can go read your stuff, and hopefully we'll get you at least 3 or 4 more subscribers. I mean, you know, so we have a very, very robust audience here, and they are political junkies. They have to be to watch this show.
Well,
so,
happy to do it. Happy to join. Forgive me for my tardiness. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and bedtime can be a perilous endeavor. And so balancing that and reporting is a difficult.
well, yeah, this is you're doing your job after your job. This is pretty much our fun. I mean, I always say, raise your hand if you're getting paid on this program. Yeah, they're not. They don't think that's funny anymore, Adam. It used to be funny, but now it's not. But so we just do it to do it, and I think there is a void for local politics and for people to have their opinions. So our live chat, you know, you can ask, you can put everything in there. If you get really, really bored, you can go back and answer a couple of these things, and maybe you'll get a couple more fans. But Adam, we appreciate you coming on, and good luck with everything. And I'll definitely be following more. I mean, I follow you on Twitter, and I look at your stuff, and sometimes it really helps me figure a couple things out. So we thank you, and take care of those little youngins, and hopefully we'll have a country left for them to grow up in.
So, I hope so too. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll see you. All right, hey, 173 shows. We've got a guest on every time, except for maybe that one time we had problems. But yeah, that was fun. What'd you think? I think you can unmute now.
I don't know. I think you have a man crush. It was really watching you talk to him.
It's Brad was the culprit. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just really went into interview mode there, and
you're gushing. I'm glad I hit the popcorn. Shit. If I hadn't hit the popcorn, what would I have been doing?
Yeah, this is not backstage now. Watch out, people. This is what backstage gets like. It gets a little raunchy at times backstage. So we still got conspiracy theory. Oh, Pacers are winning by 2 points with 4:57 to go. It's 106 to 104. So, and we still have our entire audience here. They could care less about that Pacer game. You can read about it in the papers. This is where the action is tonight.
John, if you think you have people's full 100% attention, you are delusional.
Yeah, I know. I am delusional. I'm an optimist.
We are playing in the background.
I'm an optimist. I'm just an optimist. So, we're up by 4 now. Oh, by the way, I maybe have an ADHD or watching the game. This is how I watch it. This is how I watch the game. That's as much basketball as I've watched. I've not watched one play.
I went to the Fever home opener last week.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark's got a learning curve to go there. She'll be good.
You know what? The first brick you laid probably wasn't straight. Get off her back.
Yeah, it was. The guy that taught me how to lay bricks was a brick Nazi, so it was straight.
The N-word.
Oh, I'm sorry. A brick. If you met him, that was being kind, calling him a Nazi.
Again.
I'm sorry, but anyway, it's what it was. So yeah, Brad, you got some serious feedback going on there. I don't know what's up.
Well, it's like the speaker is.
His cat peed on the speaker.
John's coming through kind of like very fuzzy, but he was the only. Tiffany's coming in clear, and Lucy was, but yeah, John's
like been fuzzy all night. It's like
breaking the speaker.
We got people requested to go to the conspiracy theory. So let's. I'm going to put the banner up before Spiro, goes crazy. But here you go. Get your tinfoil hats out. I'll get mine.
Words are spelled correctly.
What's that?
All the words are spelled correctly.
I know they weren't before. I didn't go to Northwestern School of Journalism like Adam Wren did. So I went to the Ball State where we were more creative than correct, I guess. So here you go. Put on your hats.
Hey, y'all. It's time for the conspiracy theory. So you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
All right. Hey, Lucy, have you got your garden planted?
Oh gosh, no. I still have bush hogging to do and tilling to do.
I got corn like this tall already.
That's awesome.
I know.
I've got a
Well,
lot of stuff in
I'm
pots.
semi-retired, but today I had to lay bricks and lay blocks today. I was not, it wasn't I wanted to, it's because I had to. We need extra help today, but it was all good. I just, I'm not used to working all day, but I've been pulling weeds and I got taters growing. It's great.
Wow. That's awesome.
I know you're proud of me. So, all right. So, what are we talking about here? Is my microphone not going good here for people?
Well,
I don't know.
you've sounded a bit echoey the whole show as if you're in, a big empty room. But I did think of you today, John, as I was watering my pawpaw trees, and I was thinking,
You
I
got
got a few
pawpaws?
pawpaw trees left that I didn't kill and might still be eligible to be planted. But I didn't know if you've got space in your yard for
I
a
would
couple or
love a
three
pawpaw
trees.
tree. I mean, they're
You got to
mostly
have
stuff.
three of them. You really
Oh,
need three
really?
of them because
Is
one of them
that?
is going to die for sure, and then
Oh,
you
I was
need
going to
another
say,
one to cross pollinate.
but pawpaws are like southern Indiana things. Are they even going to grow up here? I mean, I've
Oh
never
gosh,
seen
yeah,
these.
they grow all over the Atlantic seaboard. You really start to lose them after you get to, like Iowa and Missouri.
I love the
But no,
pawpaw
they're
trees.
incredible. They have a wide range.
Well, I got apples and pears, and I've caught 16 squirrels, one raccoon, and my cat twice. So that's been my squirrel relocation project. Uh, and I saw one out the other day, just up there eating and laughing at me. I'm like, go in the trap. I'll get you. I'll get you before it's over with. I'm not as good
What does a squirrel laugh sound like?
like the little one on Caddyshack, the little gopher on
Uh-huh.
there. Yeah. So, I'm not as good at catching squirrels as you are as Bigfoots, Tiffany. So,
Ooh, that stung.
I know it. Hey, I did see in the chat though, somebody had on Marketplace had a Bigfoot costume for $20. That was awesome.
Just need somebody to put it
I saw
on.
that too.
It's probably a kid size, and my feet would
I
show
think
or
the
something.
best was, I think Robert Malachi or Thor was like, maybe you should consider a little foot.
They can't run as fast, I guess. So, all right. Well, let's start with Lucy on this. As this show's gone, it's supposed to be an hour-long show, and we're not being an hour long. The Celtics Pacers. It's 108 Pacers, 107 Celtics. 3:36 left. So
How much
anyway,
time is left?
3 minutes 36 seconds. Now this may be a little delayed. So it looks like they're a commercial. So anyway, Lucy, tell us about your conspiracy fact.
Oh gosh, I have so many, but it was reported today, and I don't know if this is true. I've not had a chance to verify it. Klaus Schwab is stepping down from the WEF, but has not yet named a successor. So the likely successor for him would be Noah Harari, who is a miserable, terrible individual who's already said that humans are hackable animals, and the idea that we think that we have any privacy is laughable to him because there's already magnetic resonance and imaging where they can literally read your mind. So if you've ever thought that this was spying on you and you didn't even say something out loud to someone, then you are, oh wow, that's good. Then you are absolutely correct. Your phone is reading the magnetic field that is emanating from your
I
brain.
swear that's true because I was just thinking about needing a chainsaw and it starts
Yeah.
popping up on my phone.
No,
But I'm good with that
it's
though.
absolutely
I'm
true.
good with that. I want them to help me. I need help. I need help. I need a little helper in my head. It's like I'm not doing anything wrong. I've been in politics for like 6 years now. I don't even, I don't even roll stop signs anymore. It's come get me. Come get me. That's all I gotta say. So Tiffany, what do
Yep.
you got? You got any Bigfoot sightings? You got any beauty tips or anything? I see your popcorn was flying everywhere when you're eating it. I just had a chuckle out where some of it was going. I'm like,
I'm so lucky I had the popcorn. Let's see. Next Tuesday is my birthday, so I'll be in Miami. And I don't know who would like to sub for me, but John, I'm sure you'll find a great substitute. I will be doing my beach stuff.
You going to South Beach?
Yeah, I am. I'm
going to stay at the Eden Rock Hotel.
I'm staying at the Fontainebleau. Absolutely my most favorite place on the earth.
It's cool down there, isn't it?
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's the hottest May ever. But I'm excited for that. And I'll be 51, so I'm excited for that. So
that's like Dick Buckus.
Oh, so back to the beauty tip. So I
Oh,
think the best beauty tip is to, just start the day with gratitude.
So I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for you all on this show. You guys make my day. Spiro said Robert should sub for you.
Robert who?
Maliki, I think. Is that?
Spiro, you can do it.
With this, if you want to sub for Tiffany and you're.
Oh, you can sell my spot.
Yeah, we can sell your spot for as much as you get paid. We will give you Tiffany's salary if you come do her work. And just at mouthwashtalkshow@gmail.com. Drop me a thing, and we'll if there's more than one, we'll figure it out.
The first person to give me $20 can sub for me, and we'll just take it from there.
Okay, so $20 is what the cost is. I mean, that's the other two victims on this show are jealous now, Tiffany. So maybe they'll be calling in their subs. So not Lucy wouldn't do that. All right, Brad, what do you got? You got any White Sox trivia?
Yeah, I'll make it quick just because I'm feedbacking. I looked up who had the world record holder for the largest pineal gland because now I have to look up all of that stuff.
Andre the Giant.
And it is Donald Trump. But it was on Wikipedia, so I'm pretty sure he entered it.
He put it in. So I would think like Andre
he's
the
got
Giant.
he's got the biggest one. He's got the best. Yeah.
He's
got the most DMT.
That's a Donald M. Trump.
Yeah, what is his middle name?
I don't know. Donald John J. I think it's Donald.
Has anybody gotten those shoes yet? Like
I don't know. I'm still trying to get the Bible ordered. So
don't order them.
All right. So
wait, in 2020 or 2016, I don't know when it was. I did order the beer glasses that he sold.
It's like he's
so they had inaugural beer glasses, and and I ordered.
I thought you meant like
beer goggles because the man's ugly and you need him to look at to have sex with him. Yeah, that's
so, like
Stormy Daniels has a pair.
so I think I ordered it in like November, like after the election, and it said, you can have this by the inauguration. Those things were late from China. I think I got
I'm sure his daughter had a great intellectual copyright patent thing from China.
They came rolling in on like Valentine's Day.
57 seconds left. Pacers up by 3. And this 8 ball is, we'll see. It says, the Knicks are going to win, or the Celtics are going to win. But hey, I don't know. See, all I can see is the score. I don't see anything else. It looks like somebody called timeout. So they're talking about it. Maybe they're going to put Bird in and let him take the last shot. Who knows? But okay, so mine, and then we'll get out of here because it's 10:30 already, people. My conspiracy theory is that something's up in the stock market because there's a lot of these inside investors are taking out money, and they have been for a minute. So there's something brewing and on things, but yet is I don't know. It's just something is. But see, we do the stock market neophytes show, and neophytes is a key word there because, like I said, the Magic 8 Ball is picking stocks better than I am, and it can't even pick a basketball game right. So there you go. That's my conspiracy. There's something up with the stock market. That's all I know. I don't know if it's good, bad, or otherwise. So there you go. That's
Did Lucy go yet?
What's that?
Did Lucy go yet?
Lucy, she's fading fast though. She's fading.
Did she do hers yet?
Oh yeah, she did hers. Yeah, she did the one about Charles Schwab and some other fellow taking over that's even more evil.
Charles Schwab.
Yeah.
Well, Schwab from the World Economic Forum.
He's the guy that's the one I do my trading with is the Schwab thing, right? They just took the TD Ameritrade and screwed that all up. That was awesome. So okay, I'm going to take the banner off, and then we're
man, I got to go to sleep, guys. It's been fun. It's been real.
It's great having everybody on tonight. I appreciate it on time and everything. It's like maybe we should have Adam Wren threaten to come on more often and all that'll work. So all right, well I do have the ending figured out now. We don't have we have all the right people in all the right places. So all right, we'll see you next week. If you want to fill in for Tiffany, mouthwashtalkshow@gmail.com.
Starts at $20. Good night,
20
mates.
and we'll get that $20. So, all right, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah!